Never-ending battle. Hypex Purifi ICEpower. Are they competitors in the market? Yes, they are. Are they friends in the market? Yes, they are. All engineers in Hypex, in Purifi, in ICEpower, they know each other. They are friendly in the conferences and they have high respect to each other because they build brilliant products and really moved audio amplification industry forward. Also, I want to set a background for this topic, because it can raise pretty aggressive opinions. And this is not to prove that I'm right or not right. It's more about how to think broader about certain topics and get objective information. Not in a way that we have opinion and collect only that information, show only that information what supports our opinion. In a moment of this video, audio amplifier quality is hitting the wall. In last 5-7 years, actually, amplifier design industry solved most difficult challenge, power. Before that, if you look back for a reasonable investment, you could buy 100-watt amplifier. There was tons of variation, but at the very end, it's 100-watt amplifier. If you go further, then prices has a logarithmic growth. Today we solve it. And when we solve quality and power, then marketing has tough time to position one or another product in a market. And I want to show you one example, and it's not to show that someone is good or someone is bad, how those discussion happens and why we should be cautious when we take conclusions. Here's a real life conversation, what I picked, a little bit shortened. And when I publish some advantages of ICEpower 1200, why I think this model is so good, so good, so good, of course you have arguments that competitors are better. And typical this discussion comes like the ICEpower 1200 is far, far from the best amplifier in the world. Actually, it's not very good. If you compare to Nilay 500, Hypex NC 500, that could be some other modules. No, it's kind of statement. And I refer that Bruno published article about the latest generation amplifiers, stating that all of them exceeding human hearing limits. All of them are very good, and we should focus to other stuff integrated with active systems, etc., etc. And then I got answer. I mean, yes, you have a point, and Bruno is right. When it comes to ICEpower 1200, it's not really accurate. The model isn't that good. It has an issues. So everything is right except the competitor. And some third party put a comment, what an issue, it's hard claim. And then discussion become dirty. So there was plenty of mentioned issues, what happens to that amplifier, why it's not good. And then I put it, all those statements in a part and look at from engineering point of view, is it correct or not? And then I asked, could you please provide source for your statement? I have built and tested numerous designs. I have not encountered issues you mentioned. Really, I have a good experience, and also I built the products. Also, I talked to technical department of ICEpower for clarifying some configurations and get quick answers. Sometimes I'm asking in Denmark and getting answers from Japan, so it's a global company. And I'm the source. That's my experience with the module. Could it be? Yes, I agree. Could be, because you really can go in trouble if you do some design mistakes when implementing those products. And then I had 6 of those boards. They all had the same issue, and this make me a bit be skeptical, because how I work. When I choose some board, I buy one and do all possible tests, and then I buy rest or buy quantities, because instantly invest too much money buying many boards. No, maybe there is some project. And then in my country I can buy AC boards without problem. Yes, those are not available for the AI community. Maybe there is some professional application. It can be. And then I put some sentence that my recommendation is to contact ICEpower support and try to find problem root cause. Because really, ICEpower support is responsive. They don't ignore your emails if you are able to formulate in proper way your problem in your design. It's not just stating that your product is crap, then they don't answer. But I have a good experience. They always answer to my emails, and I said sometimes I get a technical guidance from engineer from Japan. My implementations are dead silent, really. They meet all certified parameters what are listed in a specifications, including the very low output noise of 30 microvolts. Probably we need to look to practical implementation, interconnection of schematics. And I don't have these boards anymore. I will never get them again. I have since built with Nilay, Hypex and Purifi models, all working flawless. Sounds much better than ICEpower 1200 ACE2. So, nailing me down. No, it's fine, but let's try to select where is the truth and where is emotions, or wish list. I listed and fine-tuned those issues first. Issue with the power on and off pops. Actually, I don't have them, but it could be in case when you have some preamplifier and feed it from amplifier, but then you should have a right architecture. ICEpower 1200 has amplifier enable pin, and you can put a kind of delay circuits in case your preamp has a longer transfer time until they stabilize. Yes, you can get the pop-ups only in that case. Issues with hissing. Could it be? Yes, it could. But only in case when you make implementation mistakes, and we will talk about them. Because if you implement in correct way, then it's dead silent. It's really dead silent, even with a horn-loaded high sensitivity speakers. And let's analyze when you make really installation mistakes, what can land to the hissing and cracks and pop-ups. Here is picture from ICEpower technical engineering technical manual about the grounding, and you should pay attention that this sign means chassis, and you can see that shield from input is not connected to chassis. It is connected to chassis through the resistor. And now let's a little bit analyze RCA connectors. There's a good connector, and it has insulation sleeves. There are two plastic washers, and one plastic washer, maybe you can see, has even special recession to go in a chassis that keep that connector insulated. You should use such type of connector not to connect to chassis. If you use another type connector and connect to the chassis, you will get in serious trouble. So if you put here connector and connect it to chassis, you will get a poltergeist. You will have some hiss, you will have some noise. When you change your wires, it changes characteristics of that noise. When you replace preamps, you will get some different characteristics of the output noise, not at high level, but at some level. When you move your wires, those also is changing a lot of things. One mistake with the grounding creates total poltergeist. And when we're talking about grounding in audio systems, even professional engineers not always know the theory. There's 20-page document in Texas Instruments about analog systems grounding principles. And here on this board, all those principles are in, and you should do the correct way. So, input connector is not connected to chassis. Important. Make a mistake, poltergeist, and then you can really refer in a forum that the board is crap. It's not crap. It's implementation issue. And if you talk to some professionals, they will easily guide you to how to do it in correct way. And also it is worth to read engineering manual. Another way, look, this is special schematics, and those schematics eliminate ground loops. It is classical. There is a theory how it is working, not today's topic, but this is important. And for example, you do all things here right, and you decide to go with a 12-volt trigger, And what you do, here is your preamp, and it is grounded with a chassis, and then you put a ground for a 12-volt trigger here again, and ruining all that beauty what we have. In that case, you will get a reference for a 12 volts here from the input signal, and you can provide just a 12 volts without ground, and all your problems will go. It will be dead silent. So if you have some issues with a 12 volt trigger, remove ground and everything will be solved. For a good equipment, those 12 volts are made insulated, and then you don't have any problems. But budget equipment, they have a common ground here, and then you have an issue. And the third scenario where you can be in a trouble, you have high priced, very good, expensive AV receiver from the good brand. And those AV receivers are produced in good companies for a long time, and they face all possible issues. And one of the issues is that not all countries are Germany, where you have excellent wall electricity. There are countries even without grounding in a wall socket. There are countries where aluminium wires are mismatched in a wall, and those are not keeping any standards. So for that reason, those AV receivers has architecture with main transformer and chassis is not grounded, and for chassis grounding you have special screw terminal. And if you put it together, you can get plenty of noise or ground loop noise, and you can't understand. You have so expensive device and it is not working. Then you should do one more thing. Then you should take this ground screw terminal and screw ICEpower board together with AV receiver. No, normally it's a chassis. Both chassis together with a separate wire. Those are three major common mistakes or common issues what you can get when it comes to the hissing and noise and other stuff. Because when you do implementation correct, it's a dead silent, really dead silent. Small things, but you should know. And when someone without experience try to put it together and don't succeed, they put emotions in an internet. It's just sometimes lack of knowledge. It had issues with quick impedance drops that make it distort. It's simply not truth. And let's look to Hypex specs, and I will comment also how they relate to ICEpower. Here I have a Hypex board, what is referred in those comments. It's a very good board. It's absolutely great design. This is how does it look. And let's go to the specifications. And since there is typical argumentations that Hypex can go to the 2 ohms and ICEpower can go to the 3 ohms or 2.7 ohms, it's not that simple. Look, Hypex can go on 2 ohms with reduced power, and ICEpower can do it as well. ICEpower can work in 2 ohms load, but is reduced power because current protection kicks earlier. Both are working at 2 ohms with reduced power, and since Hypex is half bridge solution, of course for 8 ohms it has a lower wattage. It's logically, it's not bad, it's still okay. And then it commented that yes, something drops. This parameter output impedance, it reflects to damping factor. It's the same, just in reverse expressions. And ICEpower has 700 and Hypex has 800. How much we need? We need 50. So all of them can work with all loads equally. This is not valid argument, and you can easily test it. Even with a real passive crossover, you can do that. And you can see that for both boards, frequency characteristics are absolutely great. Yeah, absolutely great. And even if you look at a response on this brilliant Encore board, it is +0, -3 dBs at all loads. And for ICEpower, it's +0, minus 0.5 dB at all loads. But audio quality, what you hear, it's equal. Even technically, they may be different. So when you are looking to specs, when you are looking to technical documentation, those arguments can't pass a stress test. Those are not valid arguments. And in reality, I also measured those boards. Those excellent, working for all loads for according to the specifications. And of course, yes, if you have a 2 ohm load, you can't get the full power on that particular low region. But in real applications for home usage, we are working at 1/4 of power. Some peaks are going up at very low frequencies, and frequency response is absolutely flat. Then audio community is saying the amplifier doesn't have character. It's too stereo, but it is built for that. Amplifier only task is transparently drive speakers, and that's it. There shouldn't be any character. There shouldn't be any coloration. This is a meaning of this is a good amplifier characteristic. It had issues with power pumping with low impedances. But you know that ICEpower 1200 outputs are bridged. And let's look what theory is saying. About the bus pumping effect is Class D amplifier refers to phenomenon when the power supply rail bus voltage experience voltage fluctuations or pumping due to the way current flows during operation, especially in half bridge configuration. An ICEpower has full bridge configuration. There is no bus pumping at all. This is the best possible architecture to avoid that phenomenon. And what causes bus pumping in a half bridge Class D amplifier? Half bridge. They're emphasizing. The output is connected between two switching transistors, high side and low side, that refers to single supply rail, often with capacitor and inductive load. When the amplifier drives reactive loads, and passive crossover is reactive load, like speakers with inductance, the current can flow back into the power supply during certain parts of switching cycle. This causes energy to be pushed back into supply rail, temporarily increasing its voltage, oscillation of inability in a power supply if not properly managed. And in Class D amplifiers, there is protection built in. When the rail voltage increases above certain values, they are switching off and don't allow that bus pumping effect to make a damage to amplifier. But what to remember from the theory, the half bridge Class D amplifier struggles from the bus pumping, and for that you need large capacitors in a power supply somehow to dump it. And then if you look to the Hypex, that somehow favorable module, it features 2 onboard Encore amplifiers and could be put in a full bridge high power channel or half bridge medium power channel. When you're using those Encore 500 type professional amplifiers from the Hypex, they have half bridge outputs and you can configure it in a full bridge. But normally those outputs are half bridge. Of course, you can use 2 boards, not a 500 board, but 250 board, and then put them in a bridged configuration. But then those are not a 2 ohm rated; those are 4 ohm rated, and even better for 8 ohm rated, and so on and so on. You can build such configuration as ICEpower 2000 has by default. But then this integration is by far more difficult. This is why I'm emphasizing that when ICEpower engineers decided to have 4 channels on amplified extra costs and put them in the bridged mode, they try to make a best possible architecture, and it is a best possible architecture. Could you make the same with a Hypex? You can, using those boards, but integration is more difficult and price is higher. Is Hypex board good? Yes, it is good. Can you use this for your home usage? Yes, you can, because you're using on relatively low powers, and then those artifacts are not audible. But when you go for a professional application, then you should think about it. Yeah, you should do all the tests and be careful. It doesn't sound all that good. It's kind of harsh and forward in a higher frequencies. I would say everything what we can hear, we can measure. There is no poltergeist what you can't explain. There are plenty of test signals where you can see all artifacts, all possible artifacts what you have, and you will not find any reasonable documented problem about it. This is statement. And I want to show you one more picture. There is studio mastering guys who agreed on experiment to listen different manufacturers' speakers, and the experiment was set by engineers and give a value or evaluation of different speakers. And what is the meaning or a reason why I put that picture? Those are young guys. They hear all bandwidths. At that age, you have very good hearing. I'm passing 40, and when I recently tested my capability to hear, my highest frequencies are 14 kilohertz. It will be worse after 10 years than now, but I have very good sensitivity level, so I can hear low-level signals, and when I'm listening TV set and some peers are coming say, put it louder. So, and those guys has perfect hearing. And if you look at results when they listen, you get how different. All of them has excellent hearing. All of them has music academy education. Some of them are musicians. They have good hearings. The reason why I'm showing this picture is that our hearing is very bad. Our pets are laughing at us, and they're pretty confident that master is deaf. So, and here is bad speaker. This is bad speaker with all technology, and it was bad by design. And when they put the sub and put together with pretty good speakers, they got a pretty good marks. Higher is better, yeah. When they took away sub, yeah, the marks are not that good. So when we refer to our hearing, it's kind of discussable. And when you hear something, you definitely can see it on oscilloscope or test signals or somewhere else. Because since our hearing, especially on the high frequencies, are very bad. Our sensitivity is bad, our frequency range is bad, and music, higher note is 4.5 kilohertz, and some overtones may be there, but they're not very good at hearing, really. Then question, what we are here? Sometimes you can test yourself with a blind tests. And here I want to show you one device which I'm using when testing my new designs and testing amplifiers. This is blind test for me and for my younger engineers. So how does it work? You have one pair of outputs and two pairs of inputs. So amplifiers are connected here. Inside there is a relay switch, and you have a remote control, and you can switch between an amplifier and the second amplifier. Things what you should do, you should have some volume regulation device, or those amplifiers has a volume regulator. You precisely set with a measurement equipment equal output levels, and then you are switching between one and other amplifier. It's very important to put equal output levels, because even a few decibels a difference will favor that which is louder. And this is a well-known trick than someone in speaker or in hi-fi shop wants to sell a push position or large volume speakers what they bought in favor on others. They just put a few decibels higher, and for a short term you always prefer those which are louder. You will quickly recognize at long listening that's a bad speaker. You get tired and you can't listen music long. With a good speaker you can listen it infinite time and then really enjoy. But those tricks exist. You should be careful with that. And then with a remote control, there's indication which channel is working, and if I make that indication invisible after 10 switches between one another, I'm losing a count and don't know precisely which amplifier is working. If I can distinguish that difference, then it's okay. If I can't, then I didn't pass the test. And often happens that I built a new design, and once we are working away from clipping, I'm not able to distinguish difference. Even having very good passive studio monitors from the past with high resolution, no way. So our hearing is pretty bad. And final conclusion, with the modern amplifiers, when we are working away from clipping, our hearing is so-so. As I said, our pets, our cats, they are really thinking that master is deaf. Our hearing is not very good. It's compensated by heavy brain processing, and we can tune certain things. For example, if you have speakers with a excessive bass, we listen really good speakers with a balanced bass. It's like no bass, and how we can overcome. Some seller gives you that speaker for 2 weeks, and you're listening at after 2 weeks, so good, and then you put your old speakers back. Oh, those are damn boomy, those are not good. We reset our internal DSP processing. When we are stating that one device is better than other device, we should do the blind test. If you pass it, then you're correct. If you don't, then it's a good question what you are seeing. When we have a visual things, we can have a preferences, but when we take away that reference point, then we find out that our hearing is so bad. And last word, more suitable for a subwoofer amp only if sub doesn't dip below 3 ohms. That is. Also, false statement. It can work for subwoofers, excellent for subwoofers, but it is perfect amplifier, very good quality amplifier. And this message is broadly used in forums, in somehow favor Hypex to ICEpower. This is marketing. Marketing try to position in consumer community that Hypex designs are better. In reality, Bruno Puzze is saying no, those are not. All good manufacturers' latest designs are excellent. We should compete in different area. How we integrate it, what support we can make for those who are buying our amplifiers, what discount we are making for volume purchases, etc., etc. If you look at professional communities, there is no such arguments as here at all. If you put a common sense, do you think, is it possible to sell ICEpower amplifier with the hisses, with pop-ups, with impedance drops, everything to professional community? They will hammer back to company with a full power. Yeah, it's no way. Though you can't sell in professional community crap. Everyone knows how to measure, everyone can make an experiment, everyone before putting in their systems, testing in 10 times on a lab with the top engineers, only then deciding that they will use it for a product, what they are going to produce in the volumes. No way, no way. And ICEpower boards are used in studio reference monitors in many places. It's not about that. Both engineers are brilliant. Both companies are brilliant. Yeah, for consumer market, we try to find out some message. And then let's talk about what real issues board has. Does it have some issues? And I did in-depth research with artificial intelligence and then with a deep search and summarize it for you. So documented real issues. What we have. Let's analyze. There are several documented issues using complaints related ICEpower 1200 to amplifier models. Here's a summary of most common reported problems. Power output confusion issues. Users often report that model doesn't seem to deliver its rated powers, 600 watts into 4 or 8 ohms. And then it's explained causes. This is due to the insufficient input voltage from the source device, from preamp. The 1200 requires around 2.7 volt RMS for 4 ohms for full power and 3.6 volts RMS for 8 ohms to reach a full power output. Many DACs streamers only output 2 volt RMS, resulting in lower than expected power. And I would like to add also one more remark. This is for balanced input. If you use unbalanced RCA inputs, then you need double it. Then you need 3.6 volts for 4 ohms, and then you need 7 plus volts for 8 ohms. Could you make it? Yes, but you should know that things that board is built in this way, and you should match the sensitivity to with a preamp. And the best solution is to find a modern good preamp or DAC with balanced outputs. And even I saw for 200 euros there are Chinese developed very good digital to analog converters based on the latest American chipsets, and they with a synod better than 120 decibels. No, crazy good parameters. It's an easy to reach it. Yeah, but we should know about that. Standby mode cycling issue. Some users report that amp randomly switching between on and standby when the signal is present. And typically there are dirty jumpers or switch settings, loose internal connections, potential shorts in speaker cables. I never had such issue. Transformer buzzing. Audible buzzing from power transformer, not through the speakers, but from the amp chassis itself. I personally didn't board them, but I'm pretty sure there were boards where this buzzing was present, reported by multiple users across forums like the Audio Karma. I'm pretty sure it is correct complaint. Severity varies from middle to noticeable across the room. Yeah, it's not acceptable for high-end audio. Workarounds: physically pressing, damping the transformers reduce noise. Some manufacturers suggest it's normal, but others recommend sound adaptation materials or checking for shipping damages. I think for a year or a year and a half it's sold, but I will show where those and how those problems happens on a real board. Here is a real board. And nevertheless, in that article on that finding, they mentioned main transformer. The key reason was here. Here is inductivity for the PFC circuits. And you can see today those are heavily filled with some compound from all sides. And I think this is to eliminate that buzz. If those are loose, there is a high current in magnetic field, and they have a force, and then they buzz. So for 1.5 years, all boards what I bought, they don't have any issues in that. And I personally a bit lucky because I don't have those boards, but I'm pretty sure there were boards. And I have no problems with the transformer. Actually, I doubt that there are problems, because then transformer should be kind of faulty, because it's heavily welded, not glued. This is ferrite, and it should be pretty silent. But yeah, here manufacturers should put extra effort to eliminate such artifact. So transformer buzzing, valid problem. It's true. Is it easy to solve? Yes, it is, but it takes to change a little bit manufacturing process. Then it's done. Then we have a good device. Module failure, complete failure to power on, and repeated PSU startup attempts without success. I would say module failure. There is such parameter in electronic manufacturing as a mean time between failures. You can calculate, and could it happen that module is not operational? Normally when you buy, shouldn't, but Murphy is here. I personally sold more than 50 modules when I installed, and no one was broken. Could it happen that module breaks? Yes, it could. Low volume output. It's the same about the sensitivity. We already discussed it. And that's it. Nothing about high frequencies. Nothing about load fluctuations and distortions. No. And what I encourage to my listeners, I would like to use citation from Edison that you should challenge or be critical to any information what you get and try to verify from different sources. Also common sense. Common sense is asking why. Could it be that module has so many artifacts and in a professional market, no one is talking about it? No way. When you're going in professional market, everyone can measure it, and you will get a hard kickback when you are going with a bad equipment. Yeah. Quality is last thing today to worry about amplifier production, especially when amplifier is driving so lousy 1% total harmonic distortion electromagnetic system. This is a key task for it. Don't take internet information as granted. Verify. Just about quantifying information, what you can get. Internet is great. You can get a lot of information, but there are 3 layers of trust what you can get in internet. The highest is a science. There's very hard requirements to be published, because in a science, the worst thing could happen if you build some theory and then collect data supporting this theory and ignore data which is not supporting that theory. The biggest shame what could happen with a scientist if he do such thing and someone find out, then your career is done. Now, my older son is a PhD in physics, and sometimes when he's explaining how difficult it is to publish article in specialized magazines, how many verifications comes, and always you have an expert from similar problem research lab what gives, and he gives for other people, and other people gives reviews for new ones. They verify those calculations, and the modern physics are so damn complicated, so damn sophisticated that sometimes few guys only can understand what does it mean. But then you get the trustable information after it passes all this filter. Rest of scientists can refer that as a true. Still could be some theoretical mistakes, but pretty much those are verified. Second one, magazines with author. Third one, manufacturer documentation. There also has a signature there. And then you have internet sources which you should verify. And I think Microsoft found great naming of artificial intelligence, naming it Copilot. Copilot speed up information research, but you, with your knowledge, you are responsible for selection, because sometimes artificial intelligence can make total mistake. Second, there is plenty of content created in forums which are assumptions and not correct, which are feelings, and artificial intelligence also selecting those forums and making some averaging that, and then come up with a wrong statement. So we should be careful.